So how do I scale my online course? Coming up right now on the Rise to Top podcast. And welcome, my friends. It's your great and good friend, David Siteman-Garland. Welcome here to yet another episode of the Rise to Top podcast. We've got another good one, another coaching one here today, taking on this question: how do I scale my online course? So today's guest is Lynn Palermo. Okay, and now Lynn is she helps genealogists. We'll talk about that coming up here. She helps people with their family history, and it's really interesting what she does. But she's kind of stuck in a little bit of HE double hockey sticks with her courses. She's done a few different things. She's got some great courses. She's built a great community, but she's doing them live led. So meaning she's actually, she pre-records a course, but then she helps them with students everything along the way. So it's basically she's just doing coaching, if you will, but kind of in a course format. But she wants to get from live led to evergreen. And there's a few elements that go along with this. There's pricing. She's got a lot of different things going on. How can we consolidate and go from there? So I invited Lynn to come on the podcast here because this is a very kind of, I don't want to say typical, but it's something that happens often with courses, is that when you think about that, and in terms of getting students results, what really matters, what helps your students the most, but also isn't a massive stress bomb for you. So we're going to be covering that right now. We're going to dissect it. Let's see if I can help out here right now here on the podcast. All right. So now I am joined by Lynn, and welcome, Lynn. Where are you coming from, by the way, today?
Hi, David. I am coming from Simcoe, Ontario, Canada.
Ah, beautiful Ontario. I love Ontario. As a retired hockey player, spent many a day up there when I was younger. So looking forward to this. This is going to be great today. See if I can help out in any way. But I think a great way to start any conversation is tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and what you do.
So I am a family historian. I started a blog about 10 years ago called The Armchair Genealogist. And on that blog, I was writing about teaching people how to go about researching and writing their family history.
Okay.
So a few years into it, I actually, through my own genealogy research, I created a family history book for my family. And it was a beautiful coffee table style book, 200 pages, full color, hardcover. It was just gorgeous. It took us like a year to put it together. And I started sharing that process on the blog. And from that, there was a lot of questions so coming up about it. People wanted to know more. And so that sort of has morphed into me becoming known for the writing end of the family history and how to take those dry facts and turn them into something a little more entertaining and compelling, and organizing it into a book that, hopefully will be a legacy of your family history for years to come. So that's kind of been my journey over the last 10 years, really.
I love it. So basically, let me just make sure I understand it too, is that someone's going to come to you potentially, and we'll talk about your offerings and all the different stuff and what we're going to work on today. But I'm just trying to get kind of the basics here. So someone's going to come to you and they're interested in putting together like a family history, and their end result is what, like a book or a story or something like that? Is that kind of what they're looking to do? Okay.
Right.
Got it.
They're usually been researching already. Most people have been researching several years, so they have all this research and now they don't know what to do with it. They're looking for a way of putting it into some sort of nice format.
Got it. And could this person just be, because it's such a specific thing, which I love, obviously, as you know from any of my stuff, when it's specific, I'm very happy. So when these folks, is it a typical type of person, or could it really be anyone that wants to put this together? I mean, like, is there kind of an ideal customer, or is it just someone that, hey, this is what they want to do?
Yeah, there's both, but I would say the majority of my customers have been genealogists for a while. They've been longtime researchers. And so they generally have a lot of research, and they're very overwhelmed about how they're going to go about this.
Okay, got it. So that's a little different than someone that has no idea what's going on, and they're just like, I'm just going to research some family history. So this is someone that has put in some effort here.
So yeah, because I have the two blogs, the Armchair Genealogist sort of deals more with those people who are just new, starting up, and want to know more about how to research. But where I'm offering my courses, and really what I wanted to focus on with you today, was was the whole writing part, those more mature genealogists.
Okay, got it. So they're identifying here as genealogists. So let's talk about the business model. Now, a couple things here. I just have notes that you sent over in front of me too. You've got a nice audience. I mean, you've got email lists that combine to 5,000 folks.
Yes.
You've got a few things going on. Why don't you explain just in super basic terms what the business model is, and then we can kind of hop into the specifics of help.
Okay, so I have several online courses that teach people how to go about either writing the stories or putting the book together. So sort of two separate tasks there. My classes are usually about 6 weeks in length, and they are drip type classes. So they start on a Tuesday, they get their first class. It's usually a sort of a recorded webinar, and it comes with handouts. And then we also have a forum. So they come to the forum, that's where we have discussions, and that's generally where they post their homework. So I will go in over the course of the week and I will give them feedback on their homework, and they're also encouraged to give feedback to each other as well. And I think that's the big trip up for me. And one of the things I hope we talk about today is that, because of the homework part, and for writers, a big part of the learning process is having somebody read and give you feedback on your work. So that really is a hindrance when it comes to the scalability of my business.
Got it. And now, so this is what we would call live led, right? So meaning that it starts on a specific date, it ends on a specific date. You release the modules that you've pre-recorded?
Yes. No, they're all pre-recorded.
So it's pre-recorded, but the live aspect is essentially your coaching and feedback. Is that what we're saying in here? Okay, yes. Got it. Now, you mentioned here, and because I like to get the full scene of everything before we kind of dive into what we can fix or help with, right? So I see here that you've got several different courses. Do they all sell for the same price, or are they different? Because I see here you have plotting a family history story, writing a family history scene, ancestor profile. So there's a variety of different things. I'm assuming you're just running these kind of one after another type of thing throughout a year.
Pretty much, and they all run for about the same price. Yes.
Okay, and they're $60? Is that what we're saying?
$60. Yes.
Okay, which we are going to have a lot of talk about. But then we're going to talk about that.
Don't laugh at me.
No laughing. No laughing. Maybe a small snicker, but no, we're not laughing. We're going to figure this out. And then you also have something called Lynn's Inner Circle. What's that?
Okay, so once they go, there's two courses that they need to take, and that's the scene writing course and the plotting course. And once they complete those courses, then they're eligible to become part of Lynn's Inner Circle. And so that's basically an online writing group. So that's just a place where they can, again, it's a forum. They can come and they can post their stories a couple times a month. And then as a group, we will discuss them, give feedback. So it keeps them on task and productive, so that when they're done my courses, they just don't fall away and stop writing.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And now, are we generating enough revenue from this for full time?
No.
Okay, got it. So what else do you have other work you do, or?
Well, I do in between that. I will do webinars. I'll do webinars for out there. There's societies, genealogy societies. So they're like nonprofit groups. And so they will pay me to do a webinar for them to teach their group. I also go to conferences, so I get paid to speak at conferences. And I also take I have a whole set of workbooks, so I'll take those, sell them there. They also sell on Amazon. Even all of it combined, David, I wouldn't say it's enough money to support myself, but I'm lucky enough to have a husband who supports me and lets me do this. So. Got it.
So is the goal though, and this is kind of where I was getting at too, is the goal here, do we want to increase revenue? Like if you were to, I love this question that someone asked me the other day about something, and I was like, I am going to remember this, write it down and use it on my next podcast with Lynn, is if you could wave kind of the magic wand right now, if you will, what would you focus that magic wand on? Or what would you do? Would it want to be for example, would it want to be, I want to increase my revenue to a certain amount, or I want to double or triple it, or I want to work less, or, you know what I mean? There's so many different things you could. What would be kind of what you want to do?
It would be a combination. Definitely revenue is probably high on the list. I want to be, my husband's at retirement age, so I'd love to be able to just let him retire and do this. Not that we don't have pensions, but this would just make it so much easier, and work less doing it. Because the way my courses are set up right now, I'm always tied to those clients because they always need my feedback. And so that's exhausting. Not that I don't love them, it's just very hard to scale it when you're giving that feedback. So,
right, because it's more like coaching versus a course. I mean, there is a course. I mean, meaning it's basically like handing you a DVD, but then you get coaching, right? Like it's not and so there's I think there's a lot of things that can help out here. And let me tell you this, you're doing an excellent job at a lot of things here. I mean, you built a great audience here. 5,000 that you were saying. You have a free Facebook group, right? That has 1,500 members. So you've done a great job of what I would call attention, right? You've done a great job of being specific in terms of what you do. But now I think it's going to be, how can we kind of play with these offerings and scale and do different things? So where can I start to help and offer you some feedback or some suggestions?
Well, I think with the scalability, because the fear for me is that, I've been through your whole course twice over and looked at it all. But I think what frightens me is that if I move to something that's more scalable in that structure that you have, that whole feedback part becomes less. And it's like you're saying, I have this great connection with my audience. They know me. Usually once they buy one of my courses, they buy all of my courses. So my fear is that I will lose that with them if I pull back on the feedback part. Plus, I also know that they value that. A lot of them after the course come to me and say, I learned just as much from the feedback as I did from the content. So I'm really struggling with that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple thoughts off of hand. I mean, and again, this is a brainstorm, if you will. I think we can get to some good solutions for sure, though. But one thing to think about is that in the future, is there a way to offer where it's basically, I don't want to say two versions, but like a much more expensive one that includes feedback and another one that's kind of a study for home without feedback?
Yes.
Because that to me is like the thing that jumps out at me is like, you're not saying, okay, and this is just one option, right? But it's saying like, okay, well, listen, if you want feedback, I mean, and you could justify this so easily that it would be insane because you're way undervaluing what you do.
Yes, I know.
And you know this. I'm not. You know this. This is not some magical secret we just unveiled. I mean,
I've been told.
Yeah, I mean, you are way undervaluing. I mean, because for $60, I get lessons and I get your direct feedback. I mean, seriously, like I'd be thinking, like, what is going on here? Is there a secret problem? So to me, I mean, just think about what you could put the value on your time if someone was to purchase that from you and said, I wanted, 3 hours of feedback, what would you charge for that? Now you have that plus a course. I mean, it would have to be at least several $100s, to me. And then you could have a study from home, that's one way of looking at it, right?
Yeah, and I agree because I also think there's a large contingent that don't take my courses because they don't want the interaction. They don't want to share their homework. They're not there yet, right? They're a little scared of stepping off that edge and sharing their writing. And so they're not getting my courses because they just don't want to do the whole homework and share part. So if I offered that as an alternative, then, I think that would capture more people.
Right. And another thing here too, are all your courses, I don't want to say equally valuable. That's not the right term of it. But do you like having kind of the multiple ones like that? Is that something that you feel is a good thing?
I mean, I think they're equally valuable. I struggle with if you're meaning like putting them together into one course. Is that where we're going with this?
Well, I'm just brainstorming because I see a few different things here that could be focused on. One is that you could think about, like we just said, the double offering, if you will. However, that doesn't necessarily, that would solve part of a problem, which is it would definitely increase revenue, right?
Right.
Where the challenge would be, is that going to also free up more time? Not necessarily, right?
No.
So that's one way of thinking about that. Another thing, and again, these are just brainstorms, right? Just ideas, is like, could some of these things be put together into a mega step-by-step system to walk you through this entire process? Like a super duper mega course, right?
Some of them could, yes.
And it's just something to consider that could then sell at a higher price, at least several $100s. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That says, hey, listen, because I see the problem out here. You've been researching. You've got all this information. You've got posters up on the wall. You've got pictures sitting here on your desk. You've got writings. You've been traveling. You've figuring it all out. How the heck do you put this together into a comprehensive, book? I love that kind of like on one thing here on your ancestor profiles, which is one of your courses, they complete a 1,200 word profile. I love those specific results on here, right?
Right.
And I think that if you could possibly combine some of these things, it could result in kind of a mega course. So that's another idea, right?
Okay. Yep.
It's the mega course idea.
The mega course. Yep.
The other thing is what I've always, seen as one of the things that limits me in business and what limits a lot of people too is sometimes we think things are true that are not. Assumptions, right? Like I when I ran a mastermind group, we would sit there and we'd have a 4-quadrant thing up on the thing, and it was like relevant, irrelevant, fact, assumption. And I'd have a laser pointer. And whenever we do something, I'd point to one or the other, and myself included, right? On that, saying something like, evergreen webinars are not going to work for me. Assumption, right?
Yes.
I am a male living in St. Louis. Fact, right? Not also irrelevant. So the point being is that, I see what you're saying about this, and I see people challenging themselves and saying, okay, you know what? People love this direct feedback. I agree. People do love direct feedback, but is there a way that you could make this far less stressful on yourself and still include it, quote unquote, but do it in a far less stressful way? So for example, you just choose one person a month that you give feedback to, or you have office hours where people can, ask you questions, that type of thing, versus reviewing every single person's writing. Because I think, to me, that's not going to be scalable for you.
No.
And so I think the promise of it has to change from this is Lynn coaching you to this is the finished product that you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with this great book.
Right.
Or you're going to end up with these 1,200 words. Or you're going to end up with literally one of your courses is called Plotting a Family History Story. You're going to have your story completed. You need to focus more on the outcome versus that it's going to be you giving direct feedback. Instead, it's about you guiding them through the process and offering support.
Okay.
And to me, I think it would be a assumption for people to think, and I know you said like people love it, but what about all these people that might not purchase because they're worried about sharing that with you? Or what about these people that aren't purchasing because they're worried about staying on those deadlines with those courses?
Absolutely.
I think there's an evergreen option here because what I see is that we've definitely entered like into a Netflix society, for sure. And for example, and this is just me, but I know a lot of people are in my boat. If I see a course that's 6 weeks, I want all of it right now.
Yes.
Right now. Because, and by the way, that doesn't mean I'm going to go through it all tonight. I might. But I like the idea that I'm kind of in control, but you're there to support me.
Right.
And we have seen this result. A lot of people like, and it's not that I'm anti-dripping, but what I've seen just over 10 years of doing this is that, I do think that it has a benefit because the people that are super into it, it's like they get to be held along, but it's also anyone that gets left behind feels like they missed a week, even though they get access to it.
And that happens. Absolutely, that happens.
Yeah, and even if they get access to it, you know what I mean? Even like I'm thinking to myself, let's say I have a 6-week course in front of me on how to, do a backflip, okay? And each week is going to build on the previous one, and I'm really pumped up for week 1. I'm there. And then week 2, I'm pumped up and I'm there. But then all of a sudden, like my kids are sick the next week. I've got stuff to do. I get distracted and I miss week 3. Now I'm scrambling and everybody else is on week 4. Now, next thing you know, I might give up on it. I might ask for a refund, right?
Right.
And so I think that I would definitely suggest an evergreen model and realize with this that evergreen is also a fantastic marketing tool because you can say what I just said to people and say, listen, you get to go at your own pace. We're here to support you, right? Because with your group, you said it comes with is it a forum? Is that what you said that comes with it?
Yeah, we have a forum. And then that's the only reason we do the forum is because it's what works best for uploading the homework so that we can read their stories. Otherwise, forums are absolute pain. Right.
Because I see right now, you also limited your classes to 25 people because you kind of have to. You have to. Because how are you going to offer, I mean, even, by the way, it's stressing me out right now thinking of you giving feedback to 25 people, by the way, like meaning writing, like reading every these things. Week. You probably know more about people's families in the world than anyone.
And that doesn't even deal with, because a lot of my people are baby boomers and older. The whole technology of going and doing an online class, I have to deal with all of that. And I'm a one-man show. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I think you need to leverage yourself a little bit better. Because I'm thinking that offering this direct feedback, I mean, to me, if I was doing something like that, it would literally be several $1,000s. And I understand that's probably not in your market, but you have to be thinking like, okay, this is the study from home version, plus I offer support. So I think that's the key thing that you want to tell people. And how you structure that support, that's up to you. If it wants to be like, hey, write questions in a forum and me, and you can even say my team, even though you don't have a team. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Always say me and my team, because here's why. Your invisible team member, right, which you can give a name to, Julie, right? Your invisible team member, which is a future person, also sets the stage for that as you scale up for this over time, you might have other people helping out.
Great. That's the goal.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So like versus saying like, you're always going to get me 100% of the time, whenever you want, on demand, all your writings help, blah, 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 blah. I like more the idea like, hey, me and my team, we're in there to support you in the forum. Now, again, this is up to you how you want to structure this. It might be that you could submit stuff that you will look at as a group once a week. It could be if you have a question, they can ask you in there and you can respond, right, over time. And over time, you can get people to help with that, right? I just don't think that they're paying enough for you to be reading every single thing and giving the feedback.
I agree completely.
I mean, they're just not. It's just a fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about transitioning that forum into a Facebook group?
I would. I mean, if that was me, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the Facebook group, I have been playing around with Facebook Lives and doing little lessons there and sort of doing some live Q&As. And that seems to be going over very well.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, you know what I like about Facebook groups is that, one, you get kind of like people that go on and would browse more than they would on a forum because they have to actively go to that forum. But now, if they just happen to be on Facebook staring at random photos of cats and, memes, right? They happen to see like, oh my God, Lynn's live right now. Or, oh my God, someone just posted something in the group. I can go, I do that all the time on Facebook. Like I'm in several course groups, right? And not only my own, just I'm at a couple others, and I'll go on there, and I'm literally probably wasting time, right? Just going on there, like looking at Facebook, and then I'll see something like, oh, look, this guy's talking about something with podcasting. Next thing I know, I'm in the group. I'm going down a black hole, but I'm engaging with that brand. So I think Facebook is, with everyone's love-hate with relationship with it, but I think it's the best place for groups right now, period. If it goes away one day, fine. You've got everybody's emails. You can deal with something else. But I like the idea of that, especially since, the biggest rising number of people on Facebook is baby boomers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't take you don't have to be explaining how to create a username and password on a forum and how do you post. And like, I could see like I'm picturing my, God bless her. I'm picturing my grandma who sends me my grandma who's 87 sends me a blank email every day, or not every day. Every time she sends me an email, she sends me a blank email and then sends me the real email. Do you know what I mean? So I'm getting a blank one. I'm like,
my mother.
I'm waiting for 5 minutes, and I'm like, I know the real one's coming in 1 minute here. But I get it. All you're doing is removing another barrier there, right?
Yes.
And I think also this would allow you some tremendous opportunities with these courses. Like, so for example, it could be anything from that if you have a mega course, you've got one group, you could do something like, and I'm just giving suggestions here. It could be instead of this feedback on the writing, if you wanted to, you could always do an office hours, or you could just do, hey, write a question and we'll get back to you type of thing. It could be either way, right? Pat Flynn from Power Up Podcasting, one of my good friends, Create Awesome Online Courses student, what he does, and this is just his personality and what he likes to do, is that he once a week in his Power Up Podcasting group, they do an office hours for like an hour, and that's an hour. It's and so he'll go in there and say, "Hey,
1 hour of asking questions."
Yeah, go in there, and then he's literally sitting there on camera, and people can ask questions, and then people are still getting feedback, right? People could say like, "Hey, I don't know if I should write about my grandma first or my great 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 grandma. I don't know." Do you know what I mean? And like, you could answer these questions. To me, there's a lot of value there without, again, you sitting down reading zillions of words.
25, yeah.
And is that something that like, and again, everyone's a little bit different. Does that fit kind of you and your personality? Would an office hours be something you would enjoy? Would that be something you would or would you be like dreading it every week?
No, I absolutely would enjoy it. Yes. No. I love taking live questions when I do conferences and talk, and I take live questions at the end, and
I never want to assume on advice like that and say like, because I know some people that would be like, oh my God, I can't have it on my calendar. And other people that are like, would get jumping up and down happy for it every week. So
yeah, because I love that connection with the people and
correct.
being able to help them with their problems for sure.
And then you're still stepping away from the course is just self-study. Okay, it is. But also there's this huge value of like office hours, and you can offer feedback. And in between office hours, if you've got questions, we've got a community in there. We got myself. Over time, you could get a virtual assistant to go in there and answer questions. We're just talking about long-term scalability here, but we got to get more revenue in first. More revenue first. And would you see this as for Facebook groups? Do you have a different forum for every course, or how's it work?
Yes. So I use a WordPress learning system. So it's the way the WordPress system is set up so that you have the front of the website, and then there's behind for members. Each course has its own section. So only if you're registered in that course can you get into that particular section. And then there's a forum attached to that. So the forum is part of my website. So that becomes a problem as well, because it really slows the website down. And it's very difficult. I've tried running like 2 courses at a time, and that just like, whoa, too much to keep everybody straight. Who's in what course? And, that was just craziness. So
right, because I like the idea that these can all go evergreen, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it could even be, you could even do a mega Facebook group with this.
Right.
Where it's like one group where, and by the way, that would kind of soft sell some of the other products as well, if you decide to keep them separate.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If it's like Lynn's super group of awesome genealogy for paid customers, you could be like, hey, and I'm just saying that this is again, just one way of looking at it, is if you decide to keep these separate and this is what you want to do, you go in there and you say, hey, listen, we do, if you're in ancestor profiles, writing a family history scene, plotting a family history story, yada, 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 we're here to support you. You come on here, blah, blah, blah. And then, because I just don't know if you need to be doing the courses, like it just isn't worth it to me with your goal of increasing revenue and spending less time on it. If you're doing 6-week courses all the time that are getting $60 a person with a maximum of 25, you've capped out way too low.
I agree. That's why I'm here today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think just that change of saying, okay, God, instead of doing the fee, and you make a big deal that you're supporting people, because that is a big deal and that's important. And I see course creators, the difference between people that are real successful with this and that go out of business in a couple of years is that people that say, it's just a standalone thing. That's it. There's no support. There's no anything. I just throw it up there and that's it. Right. And there's a balance there of saying, oh, you know what? Your students should feel like they're getting VIP support treatment. I mean, we do that too. Obviously with our courses, you can email our support team. We've got the Facebook group. I'm in the Facebook group all the time. My team's in the Facebook group all the time. We do speed coaching in there. That's what we do. Right. And you always want to make sure that your people feel supported, but there's a line there that I think you've gone over. It's like almost too much support for the price.
Absolutely. Yeah. My other concern is with making these big changes and sticker shock and just, transitioning people into this new way of thinking, because they've been used to how I've presented these courses for several years now. So that's a concern for me.
Well, I think you have to be, well, first of all, you can reward these people that have already purchased. Right?
Okay.
So meaning I wouldn't be, you could tell them that your prices are going up, your offerings are changing a little bit, you're going to be offering, however you want to spin it to a certain degree, but saying we're going to, we're growing the business and we're going to be able to help more people. Do you know what I mean? All these different things. I mean, it's not really a spin, it's the truth.
It's truth. And next year is my 10-year anniversary. So
great, huge deal. 10
right.
years, 10 new things we're doing, right?
Right, exactly. And so that's why I'm kind of really focusing on it now, because I thought if I'm ever going to make that big change, this is the time, right? So
I 100% agree. The best time was yesterday, and the next best time's tomorrow, right? So,
right.
So, what I would say is that if they've purchased one of these things, they get grandfathered into this.
Right.
And then you make a big deal out of that, because it is a big deal. You say, listen, courses, you got in for $60 for a live light course. Guess what? You're going to get access to it forever, right? And you're going to get access to this brand new Facebook group where you'll be able to ask questions during office hours or however you want to structure your Facebook group, your rules, right? So you want to do it office hours, how do you want to do it? moving forward, we're going to be doing an increase in pricing because we're going to be able to then serve more people at a higher level and doing it better. It's not I said spin before. It's not really a spin. It's just that's the truth. And it's also making it where they understand why you're doing this, right? So I would just take care. Like, for example, if I was, Create Awesome Online Courses is $997, 12 payments at $97. If I decided tomorrow that we're going to change it to $1,997, right? Or, what is that? 24 payments or whatever it is. Okay. Is what I would do is I would make a huge deal to my current customers that the price is going up for future people, but we're taking care of them. And these are the changes and these are why, and we're going to take great care of you. And then I would even say, you always just want to reward people that got in at the ground level. And then moving forward, these are other people that you're going to be selling to. Do you know what I mean? Or it could be some of your current students that buy something else.
Right. Yeah. So, there might be some students who have purchased one course, but now want the other courses, but might be all lumped in together. So I would have to grandfather them in, is what you're saying. Yeah.
And what you could almost do, depending on how you want to do it, is I'm just trying to think what I would do in this exact situation. Is that I would say this. I would tell students. So I would make all the courses evergreen, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a bar none. So meaning like you have them, and whether you want to drip or not, I'm going to leave that up to you. I know I have got kind of like my strong preference for Netflix binging, but if you want to drip it, great. Whatever you want to do is fine.
No. The only reason that I chose to drip it was because we did the forum and the homework. And so that kept everybody in line and more control.
Okay.
Because some people would get ahead of themselves and that sort of thing. But aside from that, I have no reason to drip it.
And by the way, make a big deal out of that. Whenever you make a change, you always want to make a big deal. And that's one of the things I think people miss in business is like they'll make some important change and they'll view it as important, but they're like, I don't really, you want to shout it from the mountaintops. You want to be like, listen, you can now Netflix binge on this and go crazy and go at your pace. If your pace is to take 6 months to do this, great. If your pace is to take 6 days to do this, great. You go at your pace, not what pace I want you to go at.
Right.
Right. And people are going to be like, oh, this is cool. Now I don't have to panic and do it. And you can still have the homework and things like that. And they just download it. Right. So first of all, I would evergreen everything. Number one. Number two is once that's done and once you feel like you're going to move forward and you decide on how you want to do your price increases or whatever you want to do there, it's a whole other thing, is you might want to tell your students that before you do it and give them a few days where they can buy the other courses at that price now.
Okay.
Like a thank you reward. Hey, we're making some cool changes. This is why we're making the changes. We're doing the Facebook group. We're doing this. You now can Netflix binge and go crazy on the courses. You don't have to wait till July to get the next course or something. Do you know what I mean? You could have the full gamut. This is why we're doing it. And by the way, we're going to be increasing pricing to reflect the value. And we're going to be adding cool stuff in and we're going to be scaling this up and blah, blah, blah. And we want to be able to help you more. And I want to reward you because you're a current student. And so, by the way, if you want to get grandfathered in here, and if you have, let's say you've got one course and you want to have all the courses, you want to do different things, you can get them still for this ridiculously low price that I made a huge mistake in making, right? Just, this insanity low price for the next week, the next 5 days. Because after that, we're kind of revamping some stuff. We're going to have new pricing, new offerings, but you will be grandfathered in if you get in. And that should give you a little bit of cash there because you're not limited to 25 people.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you'll be able to scale up from there because then I think it comes pricing changes and things like that.
So in terms of evergreening the courses, should I do that one at a time, all at once?
Perfect world, all at a time, but you've got multiple ones. I would start with your best selling one first or your top one, and then you can kind of work your way down. Do you think that's going to be like a massive stress bomb for you to do that? Because it shouldn't be too bad.
No, because all the content's there. It's just, yeah. No, I think I can do it. I just wasn't sure whether whether it would be overwhelmed for the clients.
And do you have any like marketing funnels set up for these courses?
A little bit, yeah. I do a little bit of Facebook marketing and then of course through the emails.
Cool. So I think another thing that's going to make a big difference is once these are evergreen and you can just deliver them on demand, right? Is if you go through and you have all this in front of you. So in Create Awesome Online Courses and in Listapalooza, really kind of study down on giveaways and things like that and ways that you can get people into the courses that then have deadlines and things like that with the Evergreen Funnel. Do you have the Evergreen Funnel workshop?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So meaning if you were to kind of plot this out, and again, I don't want you to do too many things at once here because I don't want to overwhelm you, right? So we've kind of covered plenty. But what I would see almost is that, have you ever seen my unlock pages before? You ever seen those? So if you go to, here's an example, createawesomeonlinecourses.com/unlock, okay, is a page that I often give actually on this podcast. And here's how it works. If you go to Create Awesome Online Courses, and this is not a fan, this is more for current customers type of thing, meaning like this is more for when I was talking about cross-selling these courses, right? But if you go to that page, for example, createawesomeonlinecourses.com/unlock, it says Create Awesome Online Courses, unlock a special enrollment offer just for listeners of the Rise to Top podcast, right? And if I click Get Access Now, I enter my name. God, it's a ridiculous photo of me. I enter my name, and then I enter my email, okay? And what that does is it basically done just like the Evergreen Funnel Workshop, it sets you up with then a countdown timer and everything that you can enroll in that course for like the next 5 days.
Right.
And this is something that you could do for all your courses as a very easy thing.
Okay.
Meaning like, it's just, I know it might sound overwhelming, but I'm saying you don't have to do it all right away. Start with one, right? But this is the type of page I would send a current student to of a different course or something like that. I would say, hey, by the way, here's the 4 other courses, and they would all be pages like this, and they would unlock it, and it would lead them down a marketing funnel. And I understand that this, I don't want to overwhelm you with all this kind of stuff. I'm just kind of giving you some big picture thoughts, because just by switching this to Facebook and kind of getting off the live-led course train is going to be a huge difference. Then you can really spend time kind of tweaking these types of things, because over time, you're going to want to have marketing funnels, giving away something free, leading them down a path that has a deadline on it that's evergreen versus live. And this is going to really be a game changer for your business.
Okay. So you're saying just do evergreen right away with all of them, as opposed to setting up the free webinar and the whole marketing funnel.
Well, I think there's 2 ways of looking at this. I think the first thing you want to do is kind of work on your current customers. So what I mean by that is getting them all in one place, like with the Facebook group, and offering them kind of some kind of special deal where it's like, hey, over the next 5 days, you can purchase all the courses because we're revamping everything. We're getting fancy with marketing funnels. We're doing all kinds of stuff, right? Gotcha. So that's what I would do separately. So meaning that should give you a little bit of cash infusion, and also some consolidation, and also it builds better rapport with those customers. It builds better relationships. You're rewarding them for being hey, we're changing stuff. Guess what? You get to benefit from it right now.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Maybe you're thinking about taking my course this fall. Well, guess what? Or, next year, now you can take it right now here, but we're revamping everything up and whatever. Then at that point, what I would probably do is I'd focus on my, if you want to pick one out of a hat or your favorite one or whatever one sells the best, and I would focus on using the CAOC method with that one, building free content and leading that into an evergreen funnel.
Okay. Got it.
But no live lead, nothing like that, because you already have that kind of stuff set up. So I would take care of current customers first, then start building out these marketing funnels for each product. And again, I know it sounds like a lot of work, so I would start with one, because a lot of people, Lynn, have like one course. You've got like 307. So
yeah.
we have to be a little bit mindful about how we're doing this, because, what I would tell someone that had one course, right, is I'd say, okay, let's do that. Let's get everyone in this new group. And you wouldn't have anything else to sell them at that point. But let's get them in this new group and tell them, hey, we're changing this. And maybe even say, hey, if you just had one course, I'd say, hey, here's like a bonus you can have, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we're changing some stuff. We're raising the prices. And guess what? You're grandfathered in at this price forever. And here's a free bonus for you. So yay. And then what I would do is I would build out my free content and my funnel for that course, because you don't have one of those yet. And that's going to be another game changer. I would raise the price and have a funnel. And I would do that as a live launch first, and then I would evergreen it. That's what I would do.
All right. Gotcha.
So literally just doing CAOC. I mean, just do CAOC, but just do it with these new things put in place first.
Right. Understand. Very good.
And I don't know what that price is, but it cannot be what it is now.
No, I agree. And I might look at maybe combining a few of them.
Yeah, into something mega. And the key with that, when you combine, which I like combining, is just make sure that there's a very specific output or outcome, right, that you want people to have. Like by the end of this course, by following along with my help and with the coaching and, with the modules and, coming to office hours and support, you will end up with a blank, right?
Right.
Book or whatever it is.
Right. Can I ask you a question about, I have a lot of workbooks that I sell in, PDFs on my website, but they're also on Amazon. A lot of the content aligns with the courses. So I'm wondering whether I should stop selling them because people might see them as a way of not taking a course.
So what is this? What would it be? What's a workbook? Give me an example.
Like there's writing a family history scene, right? So it's like a 100-page workbook. It has all these worksheets in it that they fill out. So the course is basically built around it. I mean, they are a little bit different, but so it concerns me that, from a coaching standpoint, I know people learn differently. So some people would just prefer to work through the workbook and do that on their own. But then I wonder whether it devalues the course because they don't have to take the course.
Well, first of all, I'm scared to ask this question. How much do you sell the workbook for?
The PDF is like $8.99.
Okay. Does it make much revenue?
My book's on a whole, I don't know, maybe $4,000 or $5,000 a year.
Okay. I mean, the way I would look at it, and again, this is, if me, take this advice. I just joined this. It's funny. I just joined this entrepreneurs group here in St. Louis. And it's funny. It's like you can only share experiences. You can't share advice. It's like one of those things, right? I can only share what I would do or what I've done. But what I would say is I view books as potential lead magnets to lead towards a course.
Right.
Meaning, like my free ebook, right? Like I was looking yesterday, like we have, 7 sales this month that came directly from that ebook, which is like $8,000.
Right.
On a free ebook.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's how I came to you, was through the ebook.
There we go. Case in point, right? Now think about that. You read the ebook and you eventually enrolled in the course, and now look where we're at. So I would think about it that way instead. So maybe do those need to be pulled down? And I'm not saying necessarily shortened, but could those be used as something that you could give away that would then lead directly towards your course, towards your funnel, right? I wouldn't do that until you have a funnel. But, let's say you've got a free video series. Give me an example of one of the guides.
Getting ready to write.
Okay, getting ready to write. And what would be a course that would be a great feeder for?
Probably outlining your story.
Okay, perfect. So you have this thing where you have this shorter book, and again, if it's it could be similar to the course, but you have to give a reason why the course would be the next step.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then at the end, and even at the beginning, you say, "Hey, listen, if you want to take the next step, here's what you need to do." And that could be 2 things. It could be a direct thing to unlock your course and goes down a special deal, or it could be sending people to a webinar, sending people to a free video series, or a writing checklist. It could be anything like that, but you want to get them down the path. And I would use the books as a way to bring people into the brand, not as something that I necessarily focus on monetizing.
Okay.
But again, that's long-term thinking. So meaning like that's a lot of work to go in there if you've got all these stuff. But I don't think it necessarily deters people from buying if there's a lot of information that's in the course, as long as it's made clear what the next step would be.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. It's like, if you look at my ebook, if you go back and look through it, feel free to steal any formatting things from it. You could see that there's methods to the madness in there. So it's almost like my ebook to a certain degree is like an outline of everything in the course, right?
Right.
And it also, it goes through mindset thing, but it goes through everything that's in the course, but how to do it is the actual course, right? So, hey, you want me to, and also it's very different, as you know, reading something versus then also learning it in a learning environment, like in a modules and things like that as well.
Right.
And so if you almost look at the course, the book being like more of the, I don't want to call it a 10,000 foot view. It's more like a 1,000 foot view. And then the course being the 1 foot view.
Right.
And so, but there's a method to it. And then you could promote that course, and then you promote the heck out of those workbooks or ebooks or whatever you want to call them. Those can be done via ads. Those can be done in your free Facebook group. Those can be done anywhere that you promote stuff. That gets people then into your world, which is great.
Right. Perfect. That sounds great. I know. Makes a lot of sense.
So I think, so we covered, by the way, an absolute, for lack of a better word, buttload of good stuff here today. So I want to, just so I don't leave you with like a fire hose coming in your mouth, like where it's a million different things, what would you see as some of the like just little bit of action items that you want to jump on?
I'm going to jump on revamping those courses into Evergreen and offering them to my current customers. and then setting up an evergreen funnel from there.
I love it. I think those would be a great first start. And then, rethinking, like really write down, like think about like the value that you're offering. And I would think about what's the price should be.
The price.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the next thing too. But I think just by doing these things and staying on track with that, you're going to be off to just a great way of scaling this and not be sitting there like, oh my God, I've got nothing but live courses and live reviews, yet your students are still going to get tremendous value and get results. And that's why if we can mold that together, which you certainly can, you're going to be off to the races. And maybe you'll be retiring your husband.
I hope so.
How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
All right. Well, sounds good, Lynn. And by the way, on the way out, I have some links here that you kind of sent over, but in case anyone wants to kind of, number one, see what you're up to, maybe we've got some, you never know here, the Rise to Top podcast that ends up in 100 countries every week. You never know. I guarantee you there are some genealogists out there that are sitting there like staring at photos of Meemaw and thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what
Absolutely.
I need. And also, obviously, marketers and course creators that are probably going to want to follow along with your progress and see what you're doing as well. What are any and all links, feel free to share that people can check you out?
Sure. So if you want to learn how to start your family history, then the Armchair Genealogist is a great place to start. And if you want to look at building a family history book or writing your family history stories, then you would want to check me out at the familyhistorywritingstudio.com. And you can also find me on Facebook at the Family History Writers Group. So that's our group where we're talking about all things writing.
Awesome. So we will have those all linked up in the show notes. Thank you so much, Lynn, for coming on, and good luck. And obviously keep us posted. We'll have to do an update episode. That's one of the things I want to do in the future. We'll do something and see where we're at and go from there.
Absolutely, David. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that special conversation with Lynn. I really enjoyed it. I mean, she's got lots of good stuff going on. It's the key here for her, and for anyone that's listening in a similar spot, you don't want to try to do too many things at once. You just want to take it one step at a time, put in the work, and have that ultimate goal of where you want to be. If you stuck kind of in live lead right now and you're thinking, well, I want to go towards Evergreen, it's just one little step at a time to get there, right? One little step at a time, and you have to have that strong, why, if you will, of why you want to change kind of models like that as well. So we'll keep updated with Lynn. That was a blast. Awesome stuff. So couple reminders on the way out that if you want to subscribe to the podcast, brand new episodes every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central, go to therisetotop.com/subscribe. And by the way, on iTunes, which you can get directly to at therisetotop.com/iTunes, always appreciate a little review of the show. If you've got a couple extra minutes in your day, it is much appreciated. And you know what? I'll give a shout out to that link on the way out that we mentioned during this conversation with Lynn. If you're sitting there right now and thinking, you know what? I just need complete hand-holding. I need to know exactly what to do on how to create, promote, and profit from my own online course. Well, I've got the hookup for you. My number one program, Great Awesome Online Courses with over 5,000 students in 100 countries, including Lynn, who was on today's episode. You could check it out and get a special enrollment offer at createawesomeonlinecourses.com/unlock, and hope to see you in the program. All right, my friends, I will see you next time. This has been David Seth McGarland here on the Rise Top Podcast. And remember, if you want some fluff, you know what to do. Go pet a bunny.